I remember reading the book from Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, and one of the rules stated that you should start by getting your room clean and keeping your room clean. And I was wondering why there is such a rule in such a serious book, and what does it exactly mean to have your room clean, and why there's so much emphasis on such a rule. And it was I was having this doubt until the moments when I actually had this confusion in my life. I was not sure what to do next, or I was a bit overwhelmed with all the tasks that I had at hand, and I decided, actually, let me try it out and try following this rule and start my day by just cleaning out my space, cleaning out my room, and keeping it clean. And the moment I actually cleaned my space and I started keeping the room clean, I also noticed this positive spillover effect in other areas of my life. All of a sudden, I had so much more clarity on other things and the things that I needed to get done. And what I realized, that there is such a concept in our life that exists as positive spillover. And it could be positive habit spillover, positive action spillover. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever noticed that once you get or do one thing right, there are other things that also start falling into place? Or have you ever noticed that once you get like one positive habit in place, you start adopting more and more of other positive habits? If you start keeping your room clean, then you're way more organized all of a sudden, and you start becoming more of a productive person. Has it ever happened to you? Just ask yourself if you have ever had an instance in your life where you started getting one thing right, that you knew that was a positive one, and you started doing it, and then you noticed this spillover effect into other areas of your life. And pause it for a moment for you to think about it. I have definitely noticed it in my life. Whenever I had a certain challenge and I would do, let's say, a daily or 5 times a week workout, I also noticed other positive habits appearing in my life because of that habit. And I was wondering, what is the reason for that? And for me, the biggest finding was that once I start showing up for myself in one area of my life, whether it is keeping my room or my space clean, whether it is working out and doing something for my future self, then it becomes easier to also show up for myself in other areas of my life. And it starts becoming a thing that you feel like you deserve, because you've already, for example, worked out on that day. You also start believing that you deserve to show up for yourself in terms of drinking enough water or eating nutritious food or treating your body differently, etc. So you start noticing all of these positive spillover effects that start happening from one positive change in your life. So once we start showing up for ourselves and also actually keeping promises that we make to ourselves, not only we notice this positive spillover in our lives happening, but also we feel more confident. Because what confidence truly is, and confidence is truly keeping the promises that we make to ourselves. So if you make a certain promise and then we commit to doing that action regularly, and it could be any positive habit that you can think of, and we actually follow through on that, we become more and more confident in ourselves, because we're actually keeping the word to ourselves, and we become more and more confident in our ability to do so. And then we feel so happy and fulfilled and confident in ourselves because we kept that promise. Because if we don't trust ourselves, how can we trust anyone else? And how can anyone else trust us? So something that I wanted to get you thinking with this episode is, what is one action that you can already start taking today, now as you listen to this episode, that will create that positive spillover in your life? And you can start small. It doesn't have to be something big or grandiose for it to make a difference. It could be something as small as keeping your space clean, keeping your room clean. It could be something as going for a morning walk. It could be anything. But what is the action that you can commit yourself to and keep that promise to yourself, and just watch how that creates this domino effect of spillover effect of that domino falling and all of other positive habits appearing in your life once you commit and actually follow through with that one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found it useful, and I see you in the next one tomorrow.